I don't know about you all, if y'all were protective of your mothers, but I have four sons, and they were always very protective of me. And I could not imagine them being young and feeling so helpless, right, to be able to protect me. I mean, even when they used to walk around me when they were younger, they would like walk like this, like they could fight somebody if they did something. They could do a thing, right? But it was just kind of in them to feel that way, right? And so he shared that. Watching his mother be violated, watching his mother be hurt, he vowed basically that he would never be in that situation again.
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Adam. Got Waz here today with me. We got a special guest for you, Erin Patrice. From the Breaking Bread Village. Welcome, Erin.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
So thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Tell me a little bit about what you do. Give our audience a background, just for our listeners who don't know you.
Sure, yep. So as Adam stated, I'm Erin Patrice of the Breaking Bread Village. And what we do, we've been in existence for 5 years. And what we do is we bring people together from different perspectives, backgrounds, experiences to have conversation about certain topics. So we've had discussions about abortion, religion, empathy, compassion. So anything you could think about, we probably talked about it. And the idea is to create a space where people can be open to talk about things that, they may disagree on or have different viewpoints on.
Yeah. So I sat on one about fitness.
Yeah, you actually sat on two of ours.
And in Mount Pleasant about DEI.
Yeah, that was at Central Michigan. They asked us to particularly come and talk about DEI. And what was interesting was that I told them, I said, well, if we're going to talk about DEI, we have to talk about both sides of it, right? We have to talk about the people who are for it and who are against it, right? And so they were really open to that. So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and you got one coming up about prison reform.
Yep, prison reform.
Which is really close to my heart.
Yeah.
I went through Midlands Recovery Court program, and which is a blessing. That thing, man, saved my life.
Wow.
And part of that's reform, that's justice reform, because I had X amount of years as a potential sentence, right? And my minimum was prison time because of my history. So what Recovery Court did was, instead of just kicking me into DOC, let me serve my time and then come back out, it gave me some serious accountability. So first they sent me to treatment. Then I had the accountability where it was intensive oversight. And then they kind of just release a little bit, like give you enough freedom where if you're going to go back out, they'll catch you.
Yeah.
So, and then it progressively gets less and less. And then you graduate and you learn skills along the way that, as a business owner, I used today as a business owner, they made us do these daily planners, which was phenomenal because I use my phone now, not a handheld planner, but those skills that I gained are part of my success today. So, and there's mental health court, there's Michigan Hope program. I know Sheriff Swanson is doing Ignite, which is another way of reforming jails and prisons.
Yeah.
We just talked to Scott Holzinger, who made an announcement about a recovery pod. And then bringing fitness equipment.
I was going to say, the gym equipment. So I thought that was really cool when I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a benefit mental health wise with the fitness equipment. So I'm not really familiar with a whole lot of other stuff that they have going on outside of Michigan, but.
Yeah. Honestly, I have always been a person that tried to advocate and push for prison reform. The question is, what does it look like for different people, right? Because some people see prison reform as adding in those different luxuries, right? And which I believe are human, like I think that's like a human right to be able to breathe fresh air, right? Possibly have access to fresh food, clean water, things of that nature. But some people look at it as a luxury, which I understand their point of view with that. And so my point in saying that is that, what does reform mean to different people is always a question, because some people look at it as reform is them going in there and living the the worst possible life they can, because in some people's perspective, that means that hopefully it'll deter them from going back. But we know statistically that's not true, right? And so then somebody else's reform means, okay, give them a somewhat good life as far as being able to get different skills, right? While they're in there, being able to get, to graduate from different courses, get certificates, to learn how to, cook or sew, whatever it is, right? To be able to get those different skills, and that is reform. So that's the thing that we're going to talk about next month is what does reform actually mean and how do we actually do it? Because what I found was that when we're having these discussions, we think so differently of what reform actually means that it's hard to implement it because which direction do you go in? You know what I mean? And so for me, when I sat down and talked with Scott, and some of the ideas that they were having over there to implement was amazing to me. I mean, it is absolutely amazing because I don't know. I always like to preface it with, I don't know anybody in prison that has done something personal to somebody in my family, right? So it's really easy for me to say they should just be treated, so well, because I don't know what it feels like to have someone there that may have impacted my family. You get what I'm saying? And so I understand when people have had direct impact from someone who is in prison, why they feel like they should just rot there, right? I get that. I have empathy for that. For me, I don't know, just humanely speaking, right? I think that people should still be afforded some type of quality of life, even if they took life, right? I mean, people make choices that I don't necessarily agree with, but when I hear people being, put in segregation for years, that is insane to me. That is insane, because if that person ever has an opportunity to get back out, what type of human will they be when they come back out, right? I mean, we've seen some of the aftermath of what happens to people who are put in segregation for long periods of time. They lose their mind or just all kind of discussing things, you know what I mean?
I don't think it's just segregation.
Yeah.
Because I spent 2 years in Carson City, Michigan. And it wasn't, I was in a low security facility, but there's a different code of behavior that you have to follow in there. So when I got out and, I went to Walmart and people were getting, a little bit too close to me, and these people didn't have any ill intentions, but it was still like
unnerving.
Yeah. And to build on just time spending in there, the atmosphere, I get you got to have that negative consequence, but in the same sense, like, what are we doing to get these prisoners to not reoffend? Because when I was in there were people trying to teach me mortgage scams and how to cook meth, and I'm like, I don't want to learn it, because if I don't want to use when I get out, but if I do, I don't want more tools to learn how to break more laws. So it was challenging, and that negative consequence didn't deter me from relapsing. So I still didn't get to the root cause of my addiction. That took me going to treatment, which that didn't happen in prison. So it's like, I think you have to look at individual crimes and then more individualized sentences and have more resources for that. Because if someone, on the worst end of the spectrum, you have crimes against children.
Yeah.
And, is rehabilitation possible for a second offense criminal sexual conduct? Is that something a person's going to come back from? Is it a substance abuse issue? Is it a violent offender? Like, how do we balance that?
And how do you know? You don't know, right? And that's the scary part, and also a part that just, to me, just more confirms that across the board we should try to at least offer it, right? What a person does with the gift of possible potential rehabilitation is up to them, but at least we should offer it, right? To try to, and again, this is, and I sometimes feel it's hard for me to talk on it, right? Because I haven't walked those shoes, so to speak, right? I've never been in prison, hopefully never, never go, right? And so I don't know what it's like. I just talk to people, right? I hear the stories, you watch documentaries, you see the things, and it's heartbreaking, right? And so I don't know. I don't know. I think that we should at least try. I think we should try to offer that, and then what a person does with it is up to them. Right. I mean, so that is the thing we're going to talk about is where is that balance? How do we find it? How do we meet people where they are? Right. And then also sow a seed and instill something in them to want to be better. Like, is it possible? And when you look back on, like, when I used to work with children that really had some hard beginnings of life, right? You almost say, how are they going to make it in life? What are they going to do? And then now some of those children are now adults and they are doing well in life. But at the moment, it was really hard to see if they were going to be able to find that light because life was so dark for them. And so, but we had to still believe that it was possible. And then again, after they left our program or left from us, then what they did with that was totally up to them. If they were a repeat offender, they made that choice and they had an opportunity for change. But sometimes people's lives are just so hard. I mean, some people, you ever met somebody that's like, their life from the beginning was just kind of damned. So, can I say damned here? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Was kind of like, damned from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like it was, they just were not given much opportunity. And then, the parents are doing this, the environment, just on and on and on and on. And you just wonder, how do they even get up every day, right? How do they even go to school every day with the stuff they're going through?
That's a lot of the kids in the juvenile center. They're literally just trying to survive.
Yeah, I used to work there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their experiences from an early age are just like,
sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That one I was talking about earlier. I mean, 4 of the last 5.5 years has been institutionalized. And he's come a long way. And when they sent him downstate, I mean, I don't know if I would say he's kind of moving backwards, but he's moving laterally. He ain't moving forward. And from 1.5 years ago when Adam and I first met him, and that gave him 3 strong male influences with a very similar, if not the same message, that he finally it was sinking in. And I mean, I think a lot of it was maturity going through, but it's just a tough one. I mean, I know in another 6 months he'll be around and, he wants to grow up so fast. I want him to enjoy the last little bit of being a kid because he missed out on everything. I mean, the first thing, I want to get a job, and I'm like, and I had told him, I'm like, when you come stay with me, I'm like, you have nice stuff, but I ain't getting you Jordans. I don't believe in $300 shoes that you stick your nasty foot in and all that. But I'm like, we can figure out stuff. If you want to earn money, cool. But I don't want you to think that you have to go get a job. I want you to be a kid. I want you to play sports that you haven't got to do.
Yeah.
And hang out with friends. Real life is going to come soon enough.
It will.
And to enjoy, and we went back and forth on a visit yesterday because that cart is far in front of the horse because of all he's missed out on and what he wants to do. And trying to rein him back in, and it's tough.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know he can make it, but it's just a tough one of how and everything that he has, because he has had every card stacked against him.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. And fortunately, he's had people in his life that are repeating a message. But I mean, even going back to what we were talking about, how do you do that in an institution where people are shuffled in and out, right? I mean, resources. Who does that? Who has time to kind of stay on top of that person and say, hey, you got to do this. Thankfully, in those type of circumstances, he has the 3 people that are kind of driving that point home. But in a huge institution, how do they do that, right? How do you instill and try to connect with the person on that level? We have one lady that's going to come that was a therapist within the prisons, right? And kind of share her story on what she experienced and seeing how sometimes the cards are stacked against them from birth, but then also they're stacked against them within that institution. And so when you talked about, kind of being institutionalized for the last 5 years, some of those people have been kind of imprisoned from birth, right? They have been in a system since birth, and they have been like for example, some of the kids I used to work with, we would tell them certain things and try to impart different things. You would see this change in them while they're with you. But then we had to realize that they were going back to a household that had a totally different philosophy, totally different mindset. And so all the work that we did within those moments kind of gets undone when they go back into these spaces. And so I think it's the same thing, right? And when you talk about prison reform, if they're not constantly, I mean, even with like recovery, if you're not constantly surrounded by these positive messages, sometimes some people literally are just not strong enough to sustain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know how much it costs to house an inmate in the MDOC?
No, I don't. Tell me.
I think it's 49. I know it's 49,200 and so I think it's $230 per inmate.
This is per year. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So looking at like the work we
wow.
do at the juvenile center, a lot of these kids their life has kind of set them up to end up in statistically
Sure.
a facility like that. So there's and just like recovery court, what they're doing, instead of housing me, use myself as the example, instead of housing me, I was rehabilitated. I had that hammer hanging over my head, like if you mess up, and I had a desperation to not go back for change. So it was easy for me to make changes when there's that constant hovering consequence over time.
Yeah.
And it was long enough to where I started seeing the light, like, this life is way better.
Yeah.
I want this.
Yeah.
I really, really, really want this change. So how do we get everybody to experience that? Like,
well, first they have to want to. I mean, that is something that you have to want to, right? I think I'm assuming at some point in your life you were like, okay, I'm tired of this. I want to change, right? And so that's one thing. But then also, and I always like to preface it with this too, because I remember when I first took the job at the juvenile center some years ago, people were like, why would you want to work with those kids, right? Because they have this idea that they are these violent kids that are about to jump you and all this. I'm like, most of these kids are there for truancy, right? Or drug related. And so they're not necessarily violent children, right? And so, I mean, I worked with a couple that had violent tendencies, but usually they were just angry children that needed love, right? And didn't know how to let out that anger and frustration of their life, right? Because they were in circumstances that they had no control over. Like their homes, they have no control over. They have to go to this school sometimes where they're being bullied. And so they had no control over it. So they were angry about life, right? And that's why they chose sometimes drugs or just not going to the institution, right? So anyway, I always like to let people know that these children are babies who need love, right? And may not have experienced it in a certain way. But going back to that, at some point they have to make a decision. There was a girl that they asked me to kind of mentor there when I was there, and she was about to age out, and her mother and father were non-existent in her life in a sense of any type of positivity or help, right? And so I had to have a very hard conversation with her and say, listen, let me give you some hard truth, because I think sometimes we coddle these kids and the life they live, they don't have the luxury of being coddled in that moment, right? Sometimes they need those hard truths to understand what's around the corner, right? And so the coddling comes, but then also you have to be like, hey, life is here. I need to show you some reality. And so I had to sit down with her, have a really hard conversation, say, listen, you are about to age out. Once you age out, you are on your own. And, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of transitional institutions, right? Or transitional programs to help children when they age out into like that in between adulthood, right? Because we call them adults, but they're not really adults, right? Not able to really handle life the way we want them to or expect them to. And so I had to sit down with her and listen, you're about to age out. You have to start thinking about like a job. You have to start thinking about how will you pay for a place to live. You have to think about, your parents may never right now, they may never be the parents you need them to be for you. That is a possibility that they will not make a change, right? So you have to do it for yourself. So that means you have to get maybe a bank account. You have to figure out how to pay your bills for a phone bill. You have to figure all this out, because once you come out of here,
It's scary too.
very scary, but she needed that. She needed to hear that, because life doesn't care if you're scared, right? Life doesn't care if you're not prepared. Life does not care about any of that. And some people don't care if you're only 17. They don't care, right? And so that was a conversation that I had to have with her, because nobody was having that conversation. Then she would be kind of put out of the program because she aged out, and then she's out there, and then we get surprised when they come back and they repeat mistakes and end up in the adult institutions, because we did not prepare them for the realities of life. And that's where, for me, reform came in that space, is that we have to give them the tools to succeed, right? I mean, I love math. Well, I don't love math, but I love that we teach math, right? I love all that stuff, but they need the realities. They need the truth. They need to understand what's coming.
How to balance a budget, how to fill out a job application.
Yes.
How to pay
Do
a
an
phone
interview.
bill,
Yeah.
do an interview, all
Yeah.
those things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we equip them well enough.
No. So that was one part of that balance for me, was that we have to be honest with them and let them know, like, life is happening. If you're ready for it or not, it's going to happen. It's right there. And nobody cares that life has been hard for you. Like, nobody, of course, there's some people out there that be like, oh my goodness, I feel so bad for this person. But the big scheme of things, people don't care, right? They're not going to feel sorry for you because you had a hard life. So you have to get the tools to equip your own self, but you have to want that. You have to come and listen and like not be a repellent of it, right? You have to actually absorb what people are trying to give to you.
Yeah. I think there's too much in terms of the justice. This is the youth system, the adult system. I think there's too much focus on negative reinforcement, not enough on positive, because I speak from my experience.
Yeah.
Going into the courtroom, Judge Beal was the enemy for so many years.
Yeah.
And going in there and him asking me, what's one good thing that happened? He showing care in what's going on in my life. And then if I followed the rules, didn't get sanctioned, I would get, it sounds so like trivial, but he'd toss me a candy bar, little piece of candy, and I'd get to put my name in the fishbowl to get a gift card. Very simple, positive reinforcement, but I remember those very clearly. And what it does to us psychologically, we think, and I know this is my experience, I thought to myself, like, okay, it's a little bit respect, right? I'm gaining respect from people from doing the right thing. And I think we need to incorporate that into the reform. Same with the kids, and I know they get in the juvenile center, there's positive, they have a point system and they can buy things. And, I think there needs to be more positivity in general.
Yeah. In the world.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, world in general, but
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. Yeah, that's another topic. so much division.
I know. It's disheartening in a sense because right now I'm seeing people who always really, I want to say this, people that I've always respected the way they treated people, right? I've always respected how they kind of presented themselves. And I'm seeing them be different, and it's disheartening, right? Because you carry hope, not just with people, but you carry hope with how they show up for other people, right? You carry hope with how we interact with each other. And when you start to see that person lose that, it's like, oh man, if they're losing it, wow. You know what I mean? So that's kind of sad to see right now. And I feel like people are so set on being angry and divisive right now that no matter what you say, they're going to find something to be combative about. And it's actually kind of sad because, it's just sad. It's very sad.
My dad, growing up, he always said, 2 wings, same bird. Mm-hmm. And in terms of politics, nothing. And if you sit back and really think about, how old are you again?
I am 45.
That was so rude of me.
Oh no! Oh, I'm very proud of my age. Oh no, I'm very proud.
Never ask a lady your age.
Oh my goodness, I'm very proud. Very proud. 46 in a couple months.
So we're all
around the same age
in our 40s.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Over the course of the years, from Democrat to Republican to Democrat to Republican, it hasn't really changed all that much. Mm-hmm. And that's what my dad was getting at, as far as, 2 wings, same bird.
Yeah.
So I think far too often the media takes their cleaver in their words, to try and divide people.
Yeah. I agree with you. I also think on top of that, people are adults and are responsible for their own investment and understanding, right? And I think it's very easy for us to blame the media because the media is such a big part of our informational source, right? But also it's like some of the stuff you could check out for yourself, right? You can find out, especially when it's like local stuff or things close to you, find out. And I think people have become so complacent and kind of lazy in the sense of doing their own, like do your own research, go look something up. And of course, I always tell people you can look up, like 3 people can look up something and get different information based on your algorithms or like where you go for your sources, right?
Right.
But even with that, I mean, like, back to some of the work that we do, that is a big part of it, is understanding that we are all going to think differently at some point in time, right? None of us are going to be on the same path as far as information or knowledge, right? Or what we believe or our core values. There's going to be somebody in the room that feels differently than you. And if every time that comes up, you kind of go mad, so to speak, that's your irresponsibility to not be able to be kind of emotionally mature, right? Mm-hmm. I'm aware that if I go into a room of 10 people, like maybe all 10 of them or 9 people may not feel exactly how I feel about every topic, right? And so I go in there with no expectations of like agreement, no expectations of us like seeing kumbaya at the end of our talk or time together, right? I go in it, what am I there for? I don't know, it could be business, it could be social, whatever it is. And I understand that we may feel differently. So I'm not ready to be upset because I already know that's a possibility, right? Mm-hmm. I think, and maybe I'm rambling, but it seems like people are kind of on this journey of everybody has to believe, if not, they are the enemy. And that's just not fair, right? People have different experiences and reasons why they feel what they feel. I always share this story, and I think it's relevant to what we're talking about. We had a discussion about gun reform at one point in time, and there was a gentleman and a woman. They felt differently on guns, right? And if you should have weapons and all that good stuff. And so the woman was very adamant that, you should not have guns in your home, that, there's other countries that don't have guns and they are just fine. All that, right? That was her stance. And then the gentleman was like, no, you need weapons, right? Because, for whatever, he gave his reasons. And so they were kind of against that. And this was more of a small, like we used to do smaller conversations in our larger live events. And so, so then I just asked, like, well, why do you feel how you feel? Right? Because there has to be a reason why you're so adamant. And the gentleman shared a story. He talked about when he was younger, someone broke into their house and his mother was violated. And he witnessed that as a young child, right? I don't know about you all, if y'all were protective of your mothers, but I have 4 sons and they were always very protective of me. And I could not imagine them being young and feeling so helpless, right? To be able to protect me. I mean, even when they used to walk around me when they were younger, they would like walk like this, like they could fight somebody if they did something. They couldn't do a thing, right? But it was just kind of in them to feel that way, right? And so he shared that. Watching his mother be violated, watching his mother be hurt, he vowed basically that he would never be in that situation again. And so he keeps firearms in his home because of that traumatic experience that happened to him, and that he never wants that to happen to like his wife, his kids, on his watch, right? And so after that conversation, the lady still felt what she felt, right? She still did not necessarily agree with guns, but she was able to have empathy and compassion and understanding for why he felt that he should. And so sometimes it's just a matter of pausing a little bit and not looking at somebody like, oh, you've got to be an evil person because you feel this way. Maybe it's a reason why they feel that way. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So I'm sorry, I'm talking so much.
No, you're good.
No, good point.
Very much. My brother-in-law used to work around here, and he does social work now. Mm-hmm. I worked in the oil field, and this was before I got sober. Mm-hmm. I can't do drugs anymore because I get drug tested all the time. And I got taxed nice and heavily by Uncle Sam. And it was so cut and dry to me that if you're getting any sort of government assistance, you need to pass a drug test. It was cut and dry, black and white. This is how it should be. Until we were having that conversation in the social work and of a couple different cases he had where the parents were just addicts. And they hustled for their drugs. Mm-hmm. Any of that assistance, they weren't trading and bartering for their next fix. All that help went to the kids. And obviously they were doing more for the kids. And he had another example, and it was like, well, damn, I don't know how I feel now. It just muddied the water. Mm-hmm. And, what the solution to that is, because there are people, that just sit and don't do anything.
Sure.
But then at the same point, I was like, man, I don't know now. Man, I mean, it was so simple to me. This is how it should be.
Yeah. Until
I heard another viewpoint. And then I was like, well, damn, now I don't know. Now it's that gray, right? Like you had said the other day, and I don't know. I mean, it's tough because I try and be very open-minded on things, and at least be swayed or hear somebody out instead of, oh, you think different of me. I mean, there's very few things that are cut and dry to me anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem, that not saying that anything you said is, but just that this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Closed-mindedness. And then when you're talking, I'm thinking of like doing a Google search even.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think the Tigers are the best. I mean, maybe not the best, but they're my favorite team.
Yeah.
Why is baseball? That's my favorite sport. Why is baseball the best sport? Mm-hmm. I could go on and search a topic. Why is blue the best color? And I'm going to get all responses of why baseball is the best sport. Blue is the best color. Whatever. Mm-hmm. If I don't go on and search, why is blue not the best color? Or why is baseball not the best sport? Or, get multiple perspectives, then it's just leaning into confirmation bias and.
Well, and AI, I mean, it learns you, right? So it'll give you what you want to hear, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That gets into the algorithm. And are you familiar with Edward Bernays?
No.
So are you familiar with Sigmund Freud?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Edward Bernays was Sigmund Freud's nephew.
Oh, okay.
So one of his first really big deals was back in the 1920s. He cigarettes. Women didn't smoke back then. And he worked with tobacco companies and said, you're missing out on a lot of sales because all these women could be customers. And created a marketing campaign where he took pictures of women smoking cigarettes. Then all the women see these beautiful women and they want to be like these beautiful women, so they go buy cigarettes. They start smoking. Tobacco sales went through the roof because you included another demographic. Now he's done other, like, he's the father of propaganda, basically. And he's even, there's evidence, there's stuff about him being involved with overthrowing another government through propaganda. So back then, it was just newspapers, right? Now we have AI and algorithms and that target what you search and what your Facebook news feed shows. And now we're just getting inundated with stuff that's going to confirm our already biased opinion. So I think that muddies the waters even more. Yeah. It's healthy for us to, in my opinion, it's healthy for us to explore other thoughts, right? It is healthy for us to see different cultures. It is healthy for us to understand different ways of life, right? I think it grows us, it matures us, and it allows us to grow empathy and compassion, and also just understanding, right? There's a reason why people do what they do, right? I remember years ago, one of my sons went to go eat some food that you were supposed to use a fork with. I mean, we have finger foods, but we also have food that society says you're supposed to, use a fork with. And I remember, I won't say the person because they may watch it, but he got in trouble because he was using his hands and not a utensil. And so I politely just said to them, well, there's parts in the world where they use their hands. Everybody sits on the floor, big bowl, and people just eat out of it. And that's culturally acceptable, even though it may not be here, right? And so, maybe look into that. Maybe, is it really that terrible that he's eating something with his hands as opposed to a fork at like 4 years old? Like who cares, right? And so I understood their perspective in regards to trying to make him socially acceptable and knowledgeable, but also, it's okay for us to learn that our way is not always the only way, right? Our way is not always the right or even wrong way, right? And so I think that by us exploring more, asking more questions, it allows us to understand a little bit better on the why and not just like what, right? Like, this is what happened right now. I'm mad about it. I'm pissed. They're terrible. And some people are terrible. I mean, we can call a spade, right? Some people are just downright not nice people, right? They have chosen to be unkind, right? Some people have made that choice. But I always, for myself, it's like, do I want to be like that though? Do I want to be that type of person? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just challenge, and I'm not trying to sound self-righteous or like this like person that's above. No, this is just my personal journey, right? My personal way of being is to try to allow space for error, allow space for mistakes, allow space for misunderstandings, right? Like I was sharing before we started, I mean, I could talk to 10 people, say the same, like they all heard the same thing, and they will all hear it differently. Like they will all walk away with something totally different. It's like, how did you get that from what I said? And I right now, I'm really convinced that people are committed to misunderstanding. Like they are literally wanting to be combative and kind of battle, right? I think that we were being conditioned that that's the response, is to like battle. And it's like, why are you fighting me? We're not fighting each other, right? We're talking. So, yeah.
Yeah, we need more open dialogue. I think that's part of the solution is, talking to your neighbors, talking to people with other viewpoints, because going back to the media, I think they create a mindset in the viewer that we tend to overgeneralize. Like, you voted for, you must be, insert words, right? And I think it's a critical thinking error I learned about in group therapy or overgeneralizing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a major problem.
Yeah.
If we just stop and talk to our neighbors, I think that's part of the solution. Going into it, like you said, with an open mind and non-combative.
Yeah.
Right? Just go talk to listen, not.
That's the thing, too.
Talk.
We have to actually listen because people are choosing not to listen. It's like, stop talking. Just stop for a minute and actually listen. And listen and not listen to respond, right? I found that people are like waiting to get tagged in. Like, I'm getting in there. As soon as you stop, breathing for a second, I'm going to jump in and kind of fight you on what you're saying. Just pause for a minute, right? And just really listen to what the person's saying. And if you don't quite get it or you still are like, why would my friend or person that I know, why would they say that? Why not ask, am I hearing this right? Is that how you mean it? Get some clarification as opposed to just going off. I mean, that's why I'm really, I really try not to respond a lot on Facebook or on social media, period, to confrontational things, right? Because I understand that we can't hear each other's tone. And people that don't know me personally don't know, if I'm joking or if I'm being silly. I'm a very silly person. I'm extremely silly, and people don't know that. And sometimes I say stuff to be silly, and somebody else will take it very, what's the word? Take it
Offensively.
Yeah, and just at verbatim, right? They think that that's actually what I mean, and it's like, no, I was kind of joking, but you can't really. Shovel through that on social media. So I just try to, and then I know some people just are angry people right now. And so when they say stuff, I know that it's coming from this very angry place. And I'm just like, I don't want to really do that. Now, if you want to sit in person and talk, I'm totally open to that. Then you can see me, right? You can kind of gauge my tone. And I talk with my hands. So I always tell people, I'm not angry when my hands are flying. It's just kind of how I talk. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah. Social media has become a place of sometimes beauty and joy, but then also just kind of not nice stuff. And
bullying.
So, yeah.
Back to the kids, it's a place to be bullied or what's that Netflix documentary about the lady in Beale City?
Geez.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, even
yes.
that's what happened to those kids through text messages and social media is by
a grown up,
by a parent.
Yes.
It's
I know.
Spoiler alert. No.
I know. If you didn't watch it, sorry. It was terrible. I was so shocked by the end of that. But yes. And it's sad. I mean, that was an adult doing that, but then also was going through kids. But when I see adults bullying each other to believe a certain thing, I just think that's so irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you're acting like an ass, you are never going to sway somebody.
Not like that.
To your side of an argument, right? When you're open and it's a back and forth and you're trying to understand, there you can get to that muddy water, right? Maybe you cross the river, maybe you don't. But if I'm being an ass about how I feel, I'm not changing anybody's mind.
No.
I mean, I might change other people that are with me and they're like, is that what I sound like because I feel that way? Hell no, I'm going to the other side.
Yes,
It's just ignorance at its finest.
Yeah, and it's ignorant. It's like being an ass, masked as almost like this self-righteousness, right? This idea that I am the right side of this argument. And no, and this is one thing that I truly believe, even if you are right in a sense, maybe morally or ethically, the way you are going about it is so counterproductive. If you are always that person that is arguing and fighting and telling people how awful they are, you are not doing anything. Nobody is changing based on that. You know what I mean? And I don't know how, and I could go down a whole rabbit hole of kind of where we are today in the world right now, in our country. A lot of that is this just kind of cause and effect, this responsive nature to other nature, if that makes sense, right? There is a lot of response right now because we are constantly saying we're right, you're wrong. Then the other side is saying we're right, you're wrong. And it's this back and forth of nasty exchange of words and ideas and thoughts and even actions, right? And it's just actually kind of gross, and it's just getting worse and worse because the people who are the loudest on both sides, the people that are loudest on both sides are really being counterproductive to their mission, their journey, the hopes of what they hope to become, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the way I always liken that, and like you said, the extreme on both sides. It's they're pointing across the field calling the other group sheep like it's an insult. But they're all sheep. Where you get to that middle and you can walk that line. And I mean, it's one of my favorite music artists, Cody Jinks, has a song Somewhere in the Middle. And he talks about being both sides of the fence. At one point he's works as a bartender, and he's serving the rich and he's serving the poor, and the good and the bad. And I mean, that's the spot to be, is in the middle.
Yeah.
Not far right, not far left.
No. I don't care for extremes. And I want to be clear too that, I do believe there is a time where you have to stand up for what's right. Whatever you feel that is, right? I believe there is a time where you have to stand up, and you do have to be kind of loud in a sense to say, you know what, wait a minute, this is not. I remember a couple years ago, there was this video of, I think it was New Jersey or something. It was like a really busy city, and cars were driving. It was like rush hour. People were going, and this gentleman crossed the street. I remember this video went viral, and he got ran over by a car, and he kind of kept getting run, like he was like in the middle of the street. People were on the sidewalk looking at it with their phones out, video recording him being constantly like victimized, right? In a sense, like naturally my brain, I would hope, right? I mean, how I am with other situations, I would be like, oh my God, stop the cars. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, let's go get this man some help. And people were recording. And so my point in saying that is that there are some times where you have to like stop the motion and say, this is not good. This is not right. And I do believe people should be held accountable and be responsible for what they say and what they do. My problem is when you are always barking and you are always saying that, like you're always the one. When you do say it, like there's no weight to it. You know what I mean? Because you're always angry about something. If it is a time where you say, you know what, this is the time I need to stand up, and then people will kind of respect that more and listen more, but yeah, so I don't want to make it sound like I don't believe that people should be accountable or people shouldn't stand up, or there's not a time where you have to say, you know what, I'm taking a stand right here. It may not be in the middle, right? It may be some people are just some terrible people, but right now it seems like people are taking a stand all the time for everything, just because they don't like the party or like the thing, right? I mean, so yeah.
I think in that scenario you were talking about where the gentleman was constant, people are pulling out their phones. They're so concerned about sharing it, the views, all of that stuff, which that's a whole nother layer. Like the social media stuff is
out of control.
It's toxic. But I think that people aren't living necessarily in the moment, and they're more focused on how many views can I get with this.
Instead of being like human and helping.
Like, just dropping what you're doing. Let's go stop traffic and get this guy some help.
How is that not your thought? Like I remember being so amazed by that. And right now, I mean, it's so much stuff right now that could be used as like social experiments, right? Because to watch people in different situations just follow blindly, or what you were talking about, like with the views and stuff, it is insane to me. The fact that was not their first thought is, oh my goodness, there are cars running over this gym. And he was like an older guy. And even if he was too, like it doesn't matter. But my point is that he was already feeble, right? I think he tripped and fell. This was like some years ago. And they were just filming it and just watching. And the cars, I guess, didn't realize because it was so busy that they were running. It was insane. It was hard to watch.
So it kind of makes me think between, all right, so I will pull off to the side of the road if I see someone, maybe their vehicle broke down. I'll just ask, hey, are you all right? Yeah. It's how I was raised. It was, but I'm not going to lie. I have that suspicion, like, what is this person doing? Now, if it was one of my stepsons or if I had a daughter, I would be telling them, well, I wouldn't pull over. Just because the way society and the world has went, I would be more concerned for their well-being. So it's like, how did we get here and how do we get back to the, the world we used to have where it was like you'd help someone when they were down, and it's really
the golden rule is something that's done disappeared. Right? Like I'm the same way. I couldn't tell you how many ass chewings I've gotten from the wife from, you can't pick that guy up. Yeah. It's hot out. It's cold out. Like, you got room in that back seat? Absolutely I can. And
it's hard.
And given the money and hearing, from friends that moved to big cities and like, no, you're not giving that guy money. I'm like, who are you to tell me? That's his Beamer over there, dude. He changes them raggedy clothes before he even gets in it. Dude makes $85,000 a year standing at that corner. He's like, they prey off dumb people like you. And I'm like, oh. Stupid is, stupid does, right? Like, that's how my view was. Like, I'm not going to be jaded like that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, all we can do is control our behaviors, our actions.
Exactly. Yeah, my husband always says it. Like, he's always, give, and what they do with it is what they do with it. Now, in regards to, picking people up, I mean, I am more cautious. And I think maybe, I lived in a big city. I watch documentaries. So I'm a big crime. Like, I watch anything crime. I watch stuff all the time. I probably shouldn't watch so much because that like seeps into your brain and everybody is like a suspect or could possibly up to something.
It would fit the bill though, right? Because all the words that everybody says, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm watching everything. Like,
she light up every room that she came in, right? all the comments.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Nobody that gets killed ever are they like, they
no,
were an asshole.
That's
right?
Why. That's why I always tell people at our events, do not film me, because that's always what they show, these films of like the good person that was like at the birthday party and then they're dead like a year later. Yeah. Don't film me. Just let's just enjoy it. Funny, yeah. And so, but no, I watch a lot of crime stuff, and so I'm always watching, and so I am very aware that people suck sometimes, and sometimes they will lure you in. So for me, if I see someone, because that's my instantly, like, my first thing is like, oh my goodness, especially if it's, a woman by herself or something, I'll be like, oh man, I hope she's okay. And so my thing is, stay far, I'll call out the window. Do you need help? Do you need me to call 911? Like, I can help you with that. Back in the day, I used to put people in my car. Like, when I lived in Cincinnati, I would pick people up, especially if I saw like a woman like with kids in the rain or something. It's like, okay, where do you need to go? And unfortunately, you see so many things now where that's like a ruse, right? There where they use that, and then someone's waiting, and then, and so it's really hard to discern if people mean good by you anymore. For me, I'm like, I'm going to keep trying to show up the best way I can and also be safe, right? Be aware, but also show up and not be jaded and not think that everybody is a suspect, even though I watch all this stuff, so everybody is. Yep. And so, you know what I mean? I'm like, the killer could be in here right now. Is it you, Josh? No, I'm kidding. So, and so it's just, just being aware, I think, and just trying to stay, as good as you can to people and just hope for the best back from them, right? And just hope that this is a reciprocal type thing and not just us looking side-eye at each other all the time. I'm just really sad by the amount of people who are no longer in relationships or no longer in friendships, no longer doing business together. And I get it, right? I get why some people draw a line in the sand. Like, I totally get it. It's still sad to see it at such an alarming rate right now, where people are families that don't sit and talk to each other anymore, that won't even go out to a family lunch because they're afraid that politics or something may even be brought up that will just, stop the whole time together. That's sad to me. And again, I get it, right? I get why people feel like they have to stand up for certain things, but it also makes me sad.
Yeah. I don't know where we go from here. Just keep talking, right? Just
keep showing up. I mean, for me personally, it's like, I'm going to do my small part. right? I can't change the world. I can't change the federal government. I can't change the state. Like I can't change anybody else except for what I do, right? So my thing is that I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep on making spaces. I'm going to keep on inviting people in. I mean, I've sat next to people that I don't agree with all the time. Like I literally don't agree with them on certain things. And we're able to still sit there and talk. And we walk away with a hug or like some type of, I hope you're well. Like I hope life works out for you and continues to work out. Like I don't have to hate you to disagree with you, right? Unless you are just, slashing people's throats and doing something to like the vulnerable. Like if you're just a downright gross individual that just, then I understand. But because we disagree on some ideas, no, I'm not going to just like treat you like crap. Right. And I can say I disagree with you. Like, I think we should be able to say, I don't agree with that. And this is why. And then we each can share that. And then we still can understand, like back to the conversation with the gentleman and the woman. They walked away from that table still disagreeing. Like they still disagreed, but there was a change in her and him. They were both being able to hear from each other. And she was able to say, wow, everybody that I disagree with may have a reason or a story as to why. And even that small bit of change is a win for me, right? It's a win. It's like, that is beautiful because
progress.
Exactly. And now she may be more open to hearing from other people and vice versa. So that's how it starts. It's small.
Understanding, right? Conversation, understanding, and then kindness.
Yes.
Or don't be an ass, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just pretty simple stuff, but I think it's just, we're all like, these fuses so short these days. Yeah, ready.
Yeah.
Everyone's cocked back like.
And this idea that we have to compare tragedy, right? We have to compare one with the other. All of it is tragic. Like all of it is tragic, and so I don't have to say, well, this person is more just for me personally, right? And I know people sometimes get mad at me when I say this, but it's like, I don't have to compare and try to compromise who I give empathy to, right? I don't have to do that. I don't have to validate it to you either. I can be empathetic and have compassion for someone no matter what. Like I can choose to do that, and I don't have to compare it. Right now we are so in this space of comparison of tragedy, and who do we decide gets empathy, and who should we care about more or less of. For me, when you care about the human race, you should care about the human race. I feel bad for someone who takes a life. I feel bad for someone whose life gets taken. I feel bad for anybody that makes those decisions, because what led to a person to do that? I mean, we just had the mass shooting. What was that, yesterday? Yeah. 2 days ago?
Grand Blanc.
Yeah, in Grand Blanc. And so for me, I think it's tragic that, someone, I think now it's up to 4 people, I think they count as far as like they lost their life. I think that's terrible, but I also feel bad for the person that felt that was a choice they needed to make. Like what happened in that person's life to get them there? And I know they're trying to say like, who the person voted for and all that stuff.
Yeah, none of that matters.
No, like what? I mean, because as we know, when you work with children and you see sometimes some of their lives start off a certain way, there are seeds planted throughout our lives that make us into who we are. Like things grow within us all throughout our life, and something along the way caused this person to feel like this was the answer. Could have been rage, hate, could have been whatever it was. I don't know. I'm not going to even try to presume to think what that is, but something happened, because most people don't just wake up and say, I'm going to go do harm like this. And so it's okay for me personally to care about both sides of that.
Yeah, that was my first thought, was what caused this man to do this? What type of pain was he going through that put him in that mental space? So,
yeah, and it is not,
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's not validating or like kind of agreeing with what he did. That's the part right now. It's like if you show empathy towards something, people assume that you are accepting of it or that you're okay with it. No, it means that I may not be okay with the act, but I can still empathize with a human soul that feels like they have to do this to, and most people know they're going to die at the end of that, right? I don't think he thought that he was going to get away. So it was almost like, what was he going through? And again, it's not giving him permission or saying like that was okay. It's just saying that while I also like condemn that type of act.
Yeah, 100%.
I also don't. I also care about what brought any human being into that type of mindset, and so, and I'm going to keep feeling like that, and so people can be bothered by it if they want. I don't know, but that's just how I roll. So, yeah,
the ripple effect, like you
I
mentioned.
was thinking that
So many, like all those people that had to experience that. So I've tried to reach out to, when I overdosed, a lady that saved me. Have not been able to get in contact with her. Maybe she doesn't want to be contacted, and I've kind of eased off.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make my amends to her, because what type of situation did I put her in? What type of, trauma did I bring right back to the surface for her? Did she have a family member that overdosed that she witnessed, that now all that's boiled to the surface? And, I can't change it, but just being empathetic and, making my amends known, something that I hope to do in my lifetime to that specific woman.
No, I think I hope she hears it one day, and maybe she has already forgiven you, right? Or come at peace with that. And you just never know, right? But I think that the fact that you have the intentions to at least want to acknowledge that you could have caused harm in some type of way, I think that's the beauty in it, right? And so, I mean, we can only do our best. We can only do what we can do, and hope for the best. That, again, seeds are planted, and so you never know. I mean, she may have seen your story, right? She may have seen you in the newspaper or on the Million Daily News stuff, right? Or even one of these podcasts. She may see that you're doing okay, and so sometimes that is the seed that's planted, right? Sometimes that is enough, right? That where she's like, oh, he's all right, and maybe she doesn't want to kind of come face to face, but I'm a firm believer that I have to believe that seeds are planted, and you just may never see the fruit of them, right? You just may never see it, but you have to believe that. And for me, that's what gives me hope. That's what keeps me going, is that I don't know what grows from it, right? But I do know that I can be very intentional with the seeds that I sow, in hopes that one day they grow into, she sees this right now, what you hear. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. And so, sometimes we can be at peace with that. Yeah.
Erin, thank you so much for this wonderful discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in for the whole thing. We really appreciate you. Just, ending thoughts.
Be a ripple of kindness.
Be a ripple of kindness. Try to understand the people around you.
And just show some love, not only to other people, but to yourself. Like, love on yourself, be patient with yourself, give yourself forgiveness as well, because we all make mistakes, but let's just strive to be the best humans that we can. Yeah.
Thanks again, guys.
Bye.